Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Palmetto Sports Daily. Rick Henry here in Columbia, and joined today by Ella Grogan in Greenville. We have, Kevin Bilodeau down there in Charleston, and Tegan Brown in Myrtle Beach. Hope everyone is off to a great week. Today we're going to lead off with the passing of Bobby Cox, the former Atlanta Braves manager, a baseball Hall of Famer, and truly a legendary figure, not only for the Braves organization, but for baseball as a whole. He did two different managerial stints with the Braves. The first one, he made a move that maybe a lot of people don't know about, or maybe they've forgotten about. He moved Braves catcher Dale. Oh boy, that's hold on a second. His name is passed me by now. Dale Murphy. Excuse me there. Dale Murphy was a catcher, but he was having trouble as a catcher, and Bobby moved him to the outfield, and he became one of the greatest players in Atlanta Braves history, and he wound up winning a Gold Glove. So that shows you his eye for talent and also for developing players. And when the Braves moved from Milwaukee to Atlanta, and the first year they had the leagues were split into divisions, the Braves actually played the New York Mets in 1969 with the Braves losing. And then this franchise kind of stumbled and bumbled their way along until the 1990s when Cox took over and led them to their first World Series title as the Atlanta Braves in 1995, and several divisional titles. Just an incredible Hall of Fame career. Ella?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the word incredible doesn't even really sum it up for him. I mean, you speak about that 1990 year when they were the last team in the league, and then he took them to be runner-ups for the World Series in 1991. He was just an incredible coach on and off the field. You speak about some of those catchers who got moved around into different positions, and he had such an eye and an understanding for the game. I speak as if I knew him, but he wasn't even coaching when I was alive, but I heard of the legacies that he left on that team. I mean, think about one of the funniest things to me is his ejection record that he has. He has 162 ejections in his career. Shows the passion that this guy had. I mean, 162 ejections, that's how many games there are an entire season. So just such a passionate man who absolutely loved the game, and you could tell with all the wins that he had. I mean, he ranks fourth all time in the majors with over 2,500 wins, first in division titles with 15, including a record 14 in a row. I mean, you don't hear numbers like that, Kevin. Just an amazing career and an amazing man.
Yeah, and you go even beyond the numbers. I think what really stuck with me is the passion that the guys who played for him have about him, even after his passing, even after he was done managing. We've had a chance to talk to Braves players who stopped in the Low Country over the last few years, whether it be Chipper Jones, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Jeff Francoeur. All of these guys, to a T, are just all about Bobby Cox and just, have nothing but good things to say about what he did as a manager, what he meant to them, not just as a player, as a guy who they played for, but what he did for them as a person and helping them develop as an adult and going from a young guy playing baseball up to an adult taking care of a family and just becoming a more mature person. So, Rick, that's really even more of his legacy on top of the winning World Series and winning games and everything else. That's something that all coaches aspire to do at this point.
You mentioned all those ejections, and I think what the players take from that is he was a guy who always had their back. And when you have a manager like that who will just go all out for you, you respect him and you love him for that. Another thing about Bobby Cox, his first stint ended when owner Ted Turner fired him, and when people asked him, hey, who do you think would be a good choice now for your next manager? And he said, well, someone like Bobby Cox. I would hire him if I hadn't just fired him. So, and luckily for Braves fans and for the Braves organization, he finally made his way back first to Atlanta in the front office as the GM, and then they put him back in the manager's role, and it really paid off for everyone. Tegan?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very sad day in baseball. I know that I grew up pretty close to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. It's about 40 minutes from Syracuse, and he's a big name in there, and I got to see a little bit of the tribute to him in there, and of course his face on the plaque. We're going to take a quick break here on Palmetto Sports Daily, but we'll be right back. Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. We're going to keep the baseball conversation going. Coastal Carolina getting ready to host their midweek game. They will play the Citadel from over in Kevin's neck of the woods, but they'll host them here in Conway. Coastal Carolina fell to number 20 in the rankings this week after they were number 8, but then, hey, a loss to Clemson and 2 losses to ODU really moved them down there. It also pretty much moved them out of the running for hosting a regional unless something absolutely crazy happens, but I don't see that happening. Right now, the projections have Coastal Carolina in the Florida State Regional, where, of course, Florida State will be there, as well as Miami, Ohio, and Holy Cross. Again, this is just a projection right now as we head into Week 14. Things can definitely move around, but Coastal Carolina also kind of in danger of moving out of that top spot in the Sun Belt standing. Southern Miss right behind them by, I believe, 1 game or 2. So that could be a factor this weekend. But Kevin, of course, we're talking about tonight ahead of that. Now, the Chants have really struggled offensively, especially when it comes to scoring early in the game. They've been able to get themselves out of some situations time and time again. But what do you think is going to happen in this game tonight against the Citadel?
Well, the Cid comes in on a pretty good roll, coming off a weekend where they took 2 out of 3 from Samford, including their only loss being an extra innings loss on Saturday. So they've been playing really good ball. Their bat's actually been pretty good lately, and they're kind of getting that reputation of being the team you don't want to play once they get to the SoCon tournament coming up next week. So the Bulldogs just looking to build a little bit of momentum. And like you said, Tegan, Coastal's really been going downhill the last couple of weeks, and their chances of hosting a regional, after that North Carolina win a few weeks ago, we were talking about them maybe hosting a super regional, and now it doesn't even look like they're going to be able to host a regional. And a Citadel win going into Conway tonight would pretty much put the nail in the coffin of any hopes they have of playing postseason baseball in Conway later this year. So look for the Cid to put up a good fight. They always seem to answer the call when they play these big teams, whether it's Clemson, South Carolina, or Coastal. They don't always win, but they always put up a good fight.
Yeah, and hopefully Coastal Carolina is ready for that fight. Defensively, they've been more consistent than they have offensively this season, but when it comes to pitching, that's been another issue too, where it's just the Sunday closer can't get it together, or when they finally got Cam Flukie back, it just seems like he hasn't been exactly the same as he was, last season and in the very beginning. So they're still kind of trying to figure this all out as they go into the end of the season, and it seems like they should have figured it out by now already, Rick.
Yeah, well, the Gamecocks, they played their final home game tonight. They're hosting Winthrop, and then they will close out the regular season with 3 games at Vanderbilt over the weekend. And right now, the attitude of the fans is, hey, let's just get this season over. Back-to-back losing seasons, no chance at making the playoffs. And it's pretty clear now that Monte Lee, the interim head coach, that he probably won't get the head coaching job, because when he replaced Paul Maneri back in March, the hope was that maybe he could turn things around, get the team on a good roll, and maybe get into the conversation of making the playoffs. But that never happened, as they posted a school record 30 losses. They only have 7 SEC wins, just 1 more than last year. And so Monty was asked, how do you keep the guys' spirits up? And here he is on his message to the team.
You cut on social media, what are the kids going to see, right? I mean, the reality of we've lost 8 straight. And everything that's being put out about the kids. And look, we understand where we're at. We understand what the expectations are, but they're also human, right? And when things are just not going well for you, and you read into those things, it makes it really, really challenging. The message is we just have to try to attack it one day at a time. Like, we have to wake up and come to the ballpark and forget about what's happened and focus on what we can do today. And that's challenging when you're a human and you cut on social media and you read what you read. It's super hard, especially on from 18 to 22-year-olds. Their whole identity is based on this thing. So it's pretty tough.
Yeah, it is pretty tough when you've lost 8 in a row. There's hardly anyone in the stands, and as Monty said, the stuff that's out there on social media, and for kids these days, social media is such a big part of their lives. It's just really tough to shut it all off. So I'm sure everyone is just counting down until the final game of the season, and then we'll see what they can do in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what Monte Lee's next step is after being the interim head coach of South Carolina, because you figure this is a guy who's been an institution in South Carolina baseball in this state over the last 20 plus years, whether he started off as an assistant with the Gamecocks, becoming the head coach at the College of Charleston, moving to the head coach at Clemson, and then being the assistant head coach and now the interim head coach back over at South Carolina. So this is a guy who's really only coaching in this state over the course of 20 plus years. So now what's his next move going to be? I know he was interested in some head coaching jobs here in the Low Country when those opened up, whether it was at the Citadel or Charleston Southern. He talked to people about those jobs. Didn't go all the way towards getting an interview as far as I know, but I know he did have some interest in those jobs. So the question is what other jobs in this state could be open? You know, you could see maybe if Kevin Schnall takes that South Carolina job, maybe the Coastal Carolina job comes open, and that's something Monty's interested in. You know, we've talked about Chad Holbrook and his struggles over at the College of Charleston. If they decide to make a move, could bringing Monte Lee back to CFC be a move for the Cougars to consider? So really curious to see, Ella, where Monte Lee ends up next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were all asking the question in March whether or not he'd be staying in South Carolina at South Carolina, and I feel like that is completely out of the question at this point. I mean, I do wonder from a coaching perspective and from a management perspective, if you ask the question, how did he deal with the cards that he was dealt? He wasn't able to select any of these players on his roster. Do you give him a chance? Do you give him an interview? To me, it seems like they're trying to get away from these older coaches. That's what seems necessary. That was the downfall of Paul Maneri, and that seemed to be the downfall of Lee as well. These guys aren't with the times, if you will, of getting into the portal, making moves. I'm thinking South Carolina is probably looking for a younger guy who's not afraid to make those bold calls. What do you think, Rick?
Well, I think one problem that is working against Monty is if we go back to like Will Muschamp, okay, he was a guy, had some success early, then it just fell off the cliff. You look at what is happening with USC basketball in the with Lamont Paris. He's had a couple of back-to-back bad seasons. The fans thought that he was going to be out of here, but they kept him. And you know, the cries were against Paul Maneri. And yes, they said he was too old. He couldn't relate to the players of today. I think Monty can relate to the players of today. He doesn't have enough talent. Plus, I think the fan base, they're just tired of, hey, sticking with the same old plan with the same guy. We need some fresh blood in here. So that's why I think it's going to be very tough for Monty to have any shot at the job.
You know, I don't think it would be the worst thing if whoever takes that South Carolina job keeps Monty on the staff. I mean, like you said, he relates to the players really, really well. Every player there would go to bat for Monte Lee to get this head coaching job. I don't think he deserves it. I don't think he'll get it, but it wouldn't be the worst thing to keep a guy who knows how things run in Columbia and maybe, 100%. You know, how to run a program like that, to have him on your staff. I don't think that would be the worst thing. We've got more to talk about here on Palmetto Sports Daily coming up right after this.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. We were speaking about some possible fresh meat coming into South Carolina. Now let's talk about some definite fresh meat coming into North Carolina. The Carolina Panthers hosting rookie camp this past week, bringing in all the new guys, checking them out, see what they have to offer, running a ton of drills. And we got the general consensus that rookie camps this year across the entire country, we're looking at some pretty eager guys. And one of them coming out of the Panthers is going to be Haynes King, the former Georgia Tech quarterback, leaving an impact and leaving his mark, and maybe even leaving his mark in the parking lot. Here's what he was up to following rookie camp.
We was all trying to get together. First day, everybody was kind of inane a little bit. Everybody was a little rough. He wants to be great. I want to be great. A lot of people want to be great. So he decided, he was like, man, we go to the parking lot and then walk through.
I've seen a lot happen, so, you know, I get to, when you experience it, now you're like, okay, I've seen this, or you might have even done this before, and, you know, you can learn off nowadays, you learn off of either seeing it or doing it.
Well, you got to love to see that level of enthusiasm and effort put into training. I mean, it's such a competitive field now, so that's the expectation that is required. But Rick, what did you see out of that? What did you like out of that initiative there from him?
Well, that's what you want to see out of your quarterback, especially. You want to see those leadership values, and for a quarterback to take it upon himself, especially a rookie, to get the guys together and, hey, let's go over some stuff. It's beneficial to the team and especially to the quarterback because when it comes to, like, cut down time, and if they know that, hey, remember when this guy did that, you know, hey, he's not going to be a starter for us right away, but let's keep him around because that's a valuable guy to have on the sideline, in the meeting room. So, yeah, very smart move for the young fella. I like it.
Well, there's another young fella who's making pretty much the exact same move. Clemson's former quarterback, Cade Klubnik, obviously landed with the Jets in the 4th round, and he's making a very similar impact over there as well. Not in the parking lot, but in the hotel room. Here he is.
We finished up around 7, 8 o'clock, and I think around 9 o'clock, some of us got together the last 2 nights and was like, hey, man, you know, we want to make sure that we're clean when we get out there. And we're all studying in our rooms by ourselves anyway. You know, we're up for 10, 11 o'clock studying and making sure we have all of our notes down and making sure we're clean when we get to the next day. Because at the end of the day, you know, I want Omar to go have the best day he can have. And I want him to be clean and confident to go run the best routes he has and not have to be thinking a lot. And when I want to be out there, I don't want to be thinking about a million different things. And I'm going to, but as much as I can be, you know, locked in on what my job is, then that's what I want our team to be able to go execute. And so a few of us just got together and nothing special, just kind of walked through some of the stuff just a little bit extra because we're all sitting around the hotel. I mean, we're up here for a reason. It's to go be great in rookie minicamp.
Listen, guys, I saw this video on Twitter, and the first thing I did is jumped into the comments, and the things I was seeing, these Jets fans are really, really liking the idea of Cade Klubnik. They like the idea of having their set quarterback. Does he take the role of Geno? We'll see. But they like this idea of having their set quarterback and then having 3 first-round picks next year that they can build around him. Rick, do you think he could be the guy over Geno?
You know, I like his attitude there. And he said something about, hey, we were brought here to be great. And I've seen where practice and extra work, you can take an average player, make him good, a good player, make him great, a great player, make him a Hall of Famer. So, yeah, he puts the work in. I can see him doing it. So, hats off to Cade Klubnik.
Yeah, I could 100% see him being the starter for the Jets next year, mostly because I think the Jets are going to be tanking and they're going to want to lose as many games as possible. So that's why you throw in a 4th-round rookie quarterback there to just tank this season as much as possible. Because if you're starting Cade Klubnik, you are not going to win a game next year in the NFL, not one. I will go on the record saying that.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one real New York team. The rest of them play in Jersey, so I say that as a Buffalo Bills fan. But anyway, no, I think that Cade Klubnik would be a really good fit there. I just think that their quarterback room, looking at it, I think he would really rise to that spot. Anyways, we'll talk more football later on in the show. Not this show, but later. All right, that's going to do it for this segment. We'll be right back.
Tegan, before we take a break, I just want to respond to Kevin. Spoken like a true New England Patriots fan, throwing out some hate against a rival. Okay, not surprised at that,
The
Kevin.
Jets aren't a rival. Hold on.
I can
How are they a
respect
rival?
that.
Doesn't there have to be winning on both sides for there to be a rivalry?
Oh, man, just throwing all kinds of shade Cade Klubnik's way.
Am I wrong?
And the way of the Jets. Boy, okay. I mean, not even a little bit of love for the guy who spent so much time here in the Palmetto State. We are Palmetto Sports
I'll say
Daily.
you look really weird with green behind him.
Well, you know what? I hope he gets a win against your New England Patriots. How about that?
I'm sure you do. Maybe you get one if they play
All
the
right.
Cowboys.
Oh, hey, don't talk about my Cowboys. I'll deal with you later.
Oh.
We're going to take a break right now, and we'll come back and wrap up this edition of PSD.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. Some exciting news happening near the upstate, not quite in it, but in Asheville. The AEW Dynamite is making their way out here to put on the big show. I got the opportunity this morning to talk to FTR, the greatest tag team champs, I'm going to say, in the world, the 3-time champs. Kevin, I know you love wrestling. What do you think about this? How exciting is this?
Very exciting. They were actually here in North Charleston last Wednesday night, so it's good to see them on this southeast swing and going up to Asheville tomorrow. You say they're the greatest of all time. Who would you put second, Ella?
Oh, gosh. Kevin, you can't put me on the spot like that. I don't know wrestling that well, but I'm going to stick with FTR that they are the number one. No one else even comes close. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this rendition of Palmetto Sports Daily. We'll see you next time.